So, welcome. It's bank holiday weekend. I've got a bit of time. I thought, you know what? I've played this game, and I probably should do a little bit of a spiel on it, and by invitation as well of Modiphius. They're currently asking some streamers to come in online. I hasten to add, though, I'm not being paid for this, nor have I been given any free products at all. So this is all stuff I bought. So, with that out of the way, Dreams and Machines is a role-playing game that came out. And my document camera is not great, but I'll show you that initially, and then we can switch across to the PDF. And I've been playing it. I've been actually managing to get this to the table at my local club. Shout out to Milton Keynes Role-Playing Club. And they had a whale of a time. We actually really enjoyed playing it. It's a 2D20 system, but don't let that signify to you that it necessarily is a complex system. It isn't. It's actually quite simple in a lot of ways, and yeah. But I'll talk about the system in a minute. First, let's see what's in the box, and I'm going to talk about the system a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you a bit more about how my experience went of playing it and running it. So, this is the box. Now, I've cheated a bit. That's actually just the lid, look. But nice and sturdy. Put that to the side, and here's the box. I just wish my camera would be better on the colors. So you get an adventure booklet. Yeah, these are booklets. They're not proper bound with big spines or anything. It's just staple bound. So the adventure booklet is 63 pages, or 64. Character sheets I printed off. Oh yeah, I actually put some stuff on the shelf. I have to get in a minute. You get a map. Very schematic, the map, but hopefully it'll make sense why you see that. You get lots of envelopes. These envelopes here are basically your save game thing. The brightness of that color is rubbish. Of that color. Oh, well, apologies. So, that's basically your save game. Basically, you put all the things for each character into one of these envelopes so you can keep them together. This is exactly how I packed it after playing last time, so it's not very orderly. You get handouts. Lots of handouts. Now I'm not going to show them in great detail, but you can see they're pretty good quality, actually. They're pretty good quality. Yeah? I'll have to say something about the handouts at the end. We didn't use them all. There's some still in here. You gotcha. The rules reference booklet, which is a short version of the rules. So, again, that's about, I reckon, 32 pages. No, it's not even that, 24 pages. Then you get your tutorial booklet. Your tutorial booklet basically talks you through the whole process. It's got a nice picture story at the beginning, and I'll show you that in the PDF in a minute. You can use this with the players, put it in front of them, read it out to them, let them read it, one per page or something. But basically it tells you a little bit about the backdrop, and with some gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. And if you're getting a vibe here of a certain computer game, which I've got up there on the shelf, you might not be far wrong. Look at these character designs. Yeah, I'll show you that in the PDF. So, and look at all this. You actually get it as a token sheet, of course. These are all the tokens for technology points, for spirit, essentially your player resource, for momentum, extra player resource. You get threat, GM resource. You get some little. I'll show you this on here. Some little tokens, cardboard tokens for your players. Or for your opponents, because this is zone-based, not grid-based as such, but it's useful to have these, yeah, for a few fights here. And you get these, I don't even know, what is the color? Magenta. These D20, 5 of them, that's all you need. And the one symbol, you probably can't see that, can you? Has been replaced by this glyph over this spirally thing. So, that's that. Really nicely stashed box, and I can't remember exactly what I paid, but I think I paid about £30 for this. And I think that's actually really good value for money. So let's just switch across to the PDF. You've seen the box, but it's much easier for me to work from screen, and it's much clearer for you at home. What I haven't shown you in here, because it's actually in a card box over there, are all the cards you get. You get a whole big pack of cards. And they've got the character creations on it, they've got items on it, zones, NPC portraits, rules reference. It's a big stack of cards. I can show you the cards, but they don't come across very, very well on here. So talents, for example, all of that is something you do with a character creation. So you can see here there are 158 cards. It's a good pile of cards, that is, and that's why I'm keeping them into different contraptions. Anyway, let's have a look at this tutorial booklet. So this is the first thing you see. Yeah, you get the big credits here, and by the way, I like the layout. It's quite light. It's quite easy to find something. You always have a good image next to something to anchor it, so you can find it more quickly. And you've got this artwork. Now, of course, this artwork is... I just need to do my huge setting because it's split the wrong way. So let me just find it. Yeah. So look at that artwork. Isn't that great? So we've got mechs, we've got the war, we've got the humans who were basically on this far-flung planet of Everett Prime, and they were cut off from their home planet from Earth, and had to make do. And as part of what they wanted to make do is basically they created an AI, the builder, and said, okay, we need to get more productive. We need to be able to do this. It's a really good idea. Let's put all our resources, all our efforts into building this AI, and then it will look after us. And as you can see by these pictures, it didn't go so well. So, after the war against the AI, the humanity survived. Some of the machines survived as well, but most of them went dormant. And that's basically what we are in the setting of. We are basically 200 years after this war, 208 years, I think, if I did my maths correctly. And in that world, humanity has come together as communities, is trying to rebuild the world. And it's actually a really nice, interesting setting because it's, yes, it is post-apocalyptic, but it's quite hopeful. And it's got this focus on community and working together to rebuild. And from that is a little bit different, for example, from Fallout. Mechanically, it's very different from Fallout, even though it's both 2D 20 games. So we have here then the different factions being introduced. For example, the Dreamers shun the advanced technologies. They dreamt it up originally, but said, oh, that went wrong. So they go back to old technology, anything that is not AI powered. Yeah, it's like the Prohibition. Then grabbers are basically those people, and often you will have some of them, if not all of them, in your party, who go down into the ruins, into the cities, and try to grab technology and supplies and so on. So that's the Delvers, if you like. You still have the Spears. The Wakers, first of all, are mechs that wake up again. As part of the mysteries that you're solving, why are they being woken up? Why are they waking up? Is there somebody taking an active part in this or not? And you've got the Rivers, people who trade on the river. Here you've got I think it's the Spear, so one of the warriors. And then we go straight into character creation. Now the nice thing about this character creation, let me just grab those cards off here. So this is all cards for this game. Ooh. So character creation cards. I'm going to run this at UK Games Expo actually, but don't log on to find unless somebody's cancelled. They were sold out very, very quickly. So basically you get all these lovely cards, and they have all this information on you. So you basically can put them, for each step of these, in front of your players, you just put down, okay, choose your origin. You've got a card here for the Averin, you've got a picture on there, you've got a card for a spear, for example. Yeah? So you put them in front of them, and they can either choose by color, or they can turn it around and they get a little bit of information. So you don't, oh, hey, Santa, you don't constantly have to go into the different rule books and then everybody reads them out. You really can basically choose on the basis of the color or on the short text on this side. And I initially thought, oh, this is so fiddly. This is so fiddly. But around the table, it worked really, really well. They were swapping cards and said, look at this one, look at this one, and who do you want to play, and shuffled them back and forth. And I thought, you know what? That's actually much better than constantly trying to lean over somebody else to read the rule book. So I was very pleased with this. I would imagine that this could be quite tricky if you were trying to do it online. How you would do it, I don't know. I'm a big fan of playing online, as everybody knows who knows this channel. I love, for example, Foundry, but I think, to my knowledge, and please do tell me if I'm wrong, there's no VTT implementation for this game yet. Ooh. Right, so you get, create your character. There are some backgrounds, basically. Then you choose your archetype, and you can see already here, let me zoom in a little bit. You can see what the skills are. They look quite familiar in a way. They're just slightly different words, but we've got fight, move, operate, sneak, study, survive, talk. 7 basic skills. And each one has a rating from 1 to 6, which means, I'll tell you later what it means. We have supply points, interesting little thing. Now, supply points basically are a way of trying to get away from inventory. So you basically gather supply points, and then if you have enough of them, you can say, okay, I'm taking some of these bits and pieces that I've collected, and I'm going to build an item that I just needed right now. Yeah, don't know. You may want to. What did we have? We had like a blinking light or something that attracts the attention of essentially guard dogs. So they were basically building something and say, okay, I'm going to spend 3 supply points. You may need to roll depending how complicated it is. And then you have the item you need. And that gives you the ability to do something or bonus on doing something. That's basically is a supply point as a flexible resource you can use. So you don't constantly have to say, I didn't buy that in the shop. You are able to do it. You're a survivor. So really clever. You then get some talents and your temperament. Yeah, there's no foundry for it, but Santa, I know you're checking, but I think there's also nothing on Roll20, there's nothing on Fantasy Grounds, there's nothing on Alchemy. And they are pretty much the ones I look at. So, and then you give it a name and off you are. I mean, this actually took, with the supply points and everything and explaining different archetypes and explaining how the rule system works, it really took no time at all. Okay. Took 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. But then everybody was not just had a character, but they actually had a good understanding of the setting as well, which was really nice. And then we could actually get into our little tutorial. Destruction. Well, that's a good name for tutorial, isn't it? So basically, you get all these little box outs and box ins. You've got these read aloud boxes. You don't have to read them. You can paraphrase, as it says here. Yeah, so these are the bits that you can share with your players, and the other bits are not. So it's really clear if you're running this for the first time, maybe. Really clear what you need to do. You then get basically a scenario with a little bit of a fight. You've encountered the first opponents here. It works really nicely. And as you go through, it's almost like one of those tutorial levels in a computer game. You then start picking up extra equipment. And this equipment, as you can see here on the right, is basically extra cards. So you just say, okay, here, 3, 4, 5 cards. Here are things you found in the ruins. If you want to take them, pick it up. Don't even need to write stuff down, unless you hand out more equipment, then you've got cards. Doesn't happen very often. Yeah, the artwork is gorgeous, isn't it? And the books, then, I like the clarity of the layout. There's a little playful touch here with all the balloons and fingerprints and flowers and annotations here from our character. But yeah, I do like it. It explains the rules and how everything works here as well. And one of your key things you need to do is spend spirit. Now, spirit is not the same as momentum. Spirit is a resource. Essentially, as long as you have spirit as your character, you can, for example, avoid injury, or you can buy extra dice with it, or there's various other things. You can avoid an injury, reroll, add a d20. They are the basic rules. These are the spirit tokens here. When you run low on spirit, however, and somebody hits you, and you cannot buy off with spirit, essentially that's what you do with the damage you're getting, then you're straight exhausted. And exhaustion is basically this thing on the side here. Depending on your character, on your temperament, as a temperament card, there's different effects of getting exhausted. As you can see, it basically locks one attribute entirely, and all the other tests have +1 difficulty. Now, it's actually this is the thought why I actually am doing this video today, because the other day I made a video on the new Star Trek Adventures 2nd edition, and essentially that's the same mechanism. So I was reminded and thought, oh yes, of course, that's the same as Dreams and Machines. I see where they got that from. So I quite like this. It also reminds me a little bit of the conditions you take in Dragonbane when you push, but only a little bit. So, looting and supply points. When you loot stuff, you regain the supply points. I explained them already. But yeah, without going too much into detail, one other thing that's very similar between Dreams and Machines and the Star Trek 2nd edition that's coming up are the truths. So truths are basically something you're setting as a as an assumption about a scene, about a character, about an item, something like that. And they basically will give you bonuses or penalties for your rolls, and then you can work on redefining, changing those truths. And one of the elements you can use momentum for is, which you can also generate. I don't want to explain everything here, but you know what a 2D20 systems, and you know what momentum is. Then you can basically redefine some truths. So you can make something up about the scene, which is an invitation for the players to participate in the storytelling, the world building. And actually that worked really well, certainly when we played it. It was quite sharp with it. So here you've got the momentum. I'll show you that briefly in detail. So let's see. How many of those do we know from normal 2D20 games? We have ask a question. Yeah, you could always do that. Momentum spent. Create a truth. Create a trait. Yeah. Worked in some of the games I've seen. Second wind. So you can, after a successful test, get spirit back. So that's quite good, because the spirit is a really, really crucial resource. You're managing, that's the key resource you're managing in the fight. So if you can spend some momentum to get some back, that's really good. You can make things quicker. That's standard D20 to D20 fare. You can have a follow-up action. So you can immediately do another action. Attempted at least. That you can also do in other games, but usually that's one harder. And then damage, when you succeed in an attack, you can increase the cost. Again, that's standard fare. And revive, this is slightly different, but I think that's the same going to be in Star Trek Adventures from memory. So, yeah, Grimdark. Santa, they actually call this not Grimdark at all. They call it Hope Punk. The idea is basically that because of the focus on working together as a community and so on to better the place, it's the hope that's in the middle. It's the working together. It's not the despair. But there will be moments of despair. There certainly were for us. Yeah, this was one of them. The fight in the cornfield. Look at the pitchfork. I like that. Good. Yeah, you get this booklet. You have some more opponents. And then you get, in this tutorial, at the end of it, you get to New Moss Grove. And that's the background picture I've got here behind me. So New Moss Grove is basically the local hub. And from there, you can then spin the story further. That takes us to the second book. By the way, quick reference here. This is the quick rules reference. And basically, that's all you need to do. Yeah, this is the key you need to have with you, and that's basically done. Yeah, if you don't know 2D20 here. This is slightly different in the implementation. In that you don't roll... you don't add your attribute and your skill together to get the target number, but you roll against the attribute target number. And if you also roll under your skill, then it's 2 successes. But if I remember that correctly. So this, I thought initially, why is the quick reference not on the back of the rule book? Why is it on the back of the tutorial book? But once you're through the tutorial, it's good to have the extra resource, the extra overview to just leave on the table. So let me go briefly, not in the same detail, but let's go into the rules book and adjust the view. Where's the view? I need the continuous 2 pages, and I need to show the first page there. So basically the rules reference is just that. It's a rules reference document. It basically lists the key rules in alphabetical order. So it's not supposed to be read front to back, but if you're in the middle of something and you say, oh yeah, okay, I want to know what's this about, how do I deal with the complication, you just turn to C and there it is. Slightly mixed. I mean, some of the stuff you need to know which letter you're looking for. Yeah, but luckily the book is not too big. And once you had it for a little time, you know, for example, define truths is under D. Yeah, not under T for truths, but okay, once you have it a little while, not a problem. Here are the supply points I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so with 5 supply points, for example, you can create something pretty decent, but it's only going to be good for one scene typically. Yeah, if you have enough supply points to pay this price, you can gain the device as an equipment truth. And then basically that helps you with an advantage. In short, there's also this concept of a tech level, how well you are familiar with technology, so not everybody can use everything. Yeah, so this was useful, and again, quite pretty. 24 pages in total. Yeah, And here the tokens, the different sort of resources you get. Actually, one of the things I found a bit tricky on this one, and I'm now starting to get into the review already, as you see all the cards, but is having threat, momentum, spirit, supply, knowledge fragment tokens. Now, knowledge fragment tokens are basically loot, but if you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources to manage, that is quite a bit. Yeah? That is quite a bit, 5 resources. Right. What else do you get? You get the adventures booklet. Now, after you're done with the tutorial, basically there's a mini campaign in here. And in the, I think we ran at 6 sessions of 3.5 hours roughly each. And we skipped one, and the final adventure we had to cut slightly short. So there's a lot of gaming in here. There's a really good amount of gaming in here. So it's 64 pages, thereabouts, and basically you've got different scenes. I won't zoom in too much, but it gives you an idea. Basically, you start in the city, you find some quest givers. They say you could do this fast, you could do this fast, and you start building the support. You're starting to build the defenses. You start maybe getting some resources yourself, maybe even improving yourself a little bit with an advancement, although that's mentioned very briefly only for the last act here. Then there's a big attack on the city that you have to defend, and then you go out and find the origin of this attack. It's a nice little campaign, I have to say. Way more than you could run in a couple of sessions. It really is. Yeah. What did we have? What did I say? 18, 20 hours, I reckon. Yeah? Of playing with the handouts and so on. Now, the handouts are lovely. The cards are lovely. The materials are all really, really nice. And for that price, I really couldn't complain at all. The only thing I would say is that it wasn't entirely clear to me what the coherent story was that the handouts were trying to tell. So there were nice bits, and my players were puzzling. They were asking me questions about it, and they were saying, oh, does that mean this? Does that mean that? And I basically had to do my Forbidden Lands thing and say, well, if you think that's what it means, then that's what it means. Because it didn't actually explain or put together for me as the GM, unless I was stupid and didn't see it, what all the different clues were. Now, these are all the NPCs you can meet, all the quest givers you can meet. Yeah, and they're very consistent here in the layout. So it works the same way with the text boxes. Now the NPCs are very simple because they're on the little card. So you just put the card in front of you, and then they have essentially an attack deck. So you can see, all right, this made the bigger NPCs. Anyway, there are 5 different attacks I could do, and you can either roll it, or you can pull it from the cards, or you can look at it and decide which one is suitable. But it's all, yeah, very nicely done. Just a bit fiddly. If you don't have any desk space in front of you, then you'll struggle. You need some room. Anyway, so I looked at the cards. You then get this map. Now, this map, initially when you open it up, you say, what? That doesn't look very pretty. They could have done a bit more artwork here. But the idea is you put this down, and as this is only for one location, of course, but as the players proceed through this, you get location cards. And the location cards on the one side, we should show you one. On the one side have artwork for the location, and on the other side have a description. And this description, let me just see, I've got the right cards here. This is character generation. Ooh, so many. This is, by the way, one of those attack cards here. Tells you what attack a beastie can do. Location, location, location. Is this a location? No. These are all NPCs. You see, I put them all into good order. But so long ago, I can't remember what the order was. Here we have. So this is a location card. On the one side, you get nice artwork. On the other side, you get a description. And for instance, it will say on there, you come to a small stone structure. Won't say anymore. But yeah, read out text, and then at the bottom it says possible actions. You could hide. For that, do a quickness move. You could climb the roof, quickness move. You could sneak behind the building, quickness move. You could use your eyepiece, inside operate. So basically, gives you some ideas of what you could do there. Doesn't necessarily limit you. You can do other things, of course. But again, especially if you're starting with role-playing, it's a good way to say, all right, I don't have to think about what combination of attribute and skill that would be. It tells me. You can always change it if your approach is different. But yeah, I've got... These are the locations you get. Yeah, I don't know. It feels slightly less than a SCART deck. If you're German, you know what SCART is. So I would say about 24 cards, I reckon. I'm estimating. So, good. Yeah, and those location cards you basically put on here. So you can put the artwork side up onto this map, and then it looks a lot prettier. Yeah, or you can flip it around and see what's going on. And then you have the little tokens to move around on here, so that's sized nicely. So this is like exploring it while trying to evade some opponents. Right. Okay, now basically that's the talk through. What was it like to play? Now I had players, a really good mix of different players, who were, some of them a bit younger, some of them about my age. We had ladies, we had gentlemen, we had people who mainly played D&D before, we had people who didn't play much else than D&D, to be honest. That was the first thing that they played since D&D. And universally, they liked it. And they liked the interaction. They liked the way that they could spend the spirit, for example, to influence and take risks and say, well, if I get hit, I need the spirit to avoid being injured. But on the flip side, if I spend the spirit now to buy an extra die, then I can possibly finish off this opponent, and then I don't get injured. So it's those decisions. That's one of the things with momentum, basically, that allows the players to influence or feel a little bit more agency, but at the same time as a scarce resource. So there was a ready flow of momentum and threat. Right, Santa, one important question. Can the PCs pilot a mech? Now, the idea here is that these machines are AI controlled. They might have a simple AI in them, or they can be networked to the old builder. Of course, that's long gone. And then they will attack you. Can you pilot it? Not in that sense. No, they had to defeat a couple of mechs, and they got a plasma cannon of one of them, which they then carried around with them for the next time. But I don't think, certainly at this stage, it's the intention for them to sort of strap themselves into a mech and then go for it. If you want that sort of game, there is a Kickstarter right now called something Arthur. The Battles of our Knights of Avalon, I think, a French Kickstarter. I had a quick look at it. Looks very complicated, but maybe that's what you want. But yeah, so no is the short answer. But yeah, the playing experience was really nice. The world offers you loads of different possibilities. So this is one setting, but if you look at the down there somewhere, at the GM guide or even the player guide has got lots of different locations. And I was just, while I was taking my daughter out for her riding lesson, I was sitting there in the sun reading my book, and so lots of ideas sparked. There's like this frost-bound mountain range, and I thought, that could be really, really cool to say, there's an outpost and you have to go and find it again and find those people who have the ancient wisdom and so on. And just sparked lots of things in my brain. So there's lots. There's a GM guide, there's a player guide, there is I haven't even opened it, a GM screen thing. Yeah, which also has got all the hex crawling, so hex crawling in this, and resource collection. There's lots of rules for that, and I've seen that some extra scenarios have been coming out, so there's definitely enough here. Yeah, Santa, BattleTech. Yeah, okay, good. I can't say I really went into that, but if you want to, yeah, all the power to you. As I said, this Knights role-playing might just be the thing for you. The graphics the design is really good, and apparently in France it's been running for years and years. But they're just kickstarting the English translation. So, I think for me it was a thumbs up, and that's why when it was time to register some games to run at the UK Games Expo, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take that starter kit with me, and I'm going to run that, including character creation, which I normally wouldn't do at a con. Because it was so much fun. And I think it's a very accessible game because of the way it's set out, and because of the setting, and because of the style of it. It might appeal to younger groups as well. Although, yeah, friend of mine, online, Douglas, Reluctant Artsy, you might know him from the game. He plays with teenagers at his local school. He runs games for them. That's careful. That's what I meant. And they always want to play Walking Dead. So what I think might be good for younger audience, the younger audience might not share necessarily. So, but yeah, I probably have talked enough about this. Have you got any questions? Yeah, I've got a couple of people on the stream. Santa, maybe you've got a question, maybe somebody else. If you watch this later on video on demand, for example, on YouTube, on Twitch, leave me a comment, leave me a like. Yeah, I'm always looking forward to it. To hearing back from you, because that's essentially the incentive you get as a streamer. Yeah, it's the interaction with the audience. If nobody interacts, then it gets a bit boring. That's why I always think it's great to have Santa here, because he's a stalwart fan. Actual play. I would like to do an actual play. I just have to get my head around it. I probably would do an actual play with sort of pre-gens of some sort. Because the character creation is really good fun with the cards, but I don't think how it would work. I can't quite see it work online very well. So I might run something with a pre-gen. Would you be wanting to play? Anybody wants to play? I could run this in German. I could run this in English. The next couple of weeks or so, maybe. But yeah, I would hope I can somehow do that, because the artwork is just gorgeous. So you want to be able to show this off, don't you? So it's a bit of preparation required. It also will lend itself to alchemy. Yeah, because alchemy is good with that sort of thing, with these graphics. Count me in. Good. Right. Any other questions? Leave me a comment. I hope you found this informative. I hope you enjoyed this. It took me a little while to actually put this overlay together today. Put extra effort in. And the little video you saw at the beginning, the stinger, which I might have to show you again before I go offline. Yeah, just because it took that time to put together. So I'm going to sign off with that little video again. So see you next time, maybe for an actual play. We'll find out. Right, and I hope you enjoyed that. That's it. See you soon.